Hey, everybody, and welcome to the 10-Minute Book Talk, where you spend 10 short, sweet minutes with 3 best-selling authors and a fabulous guest each week. I am Katherine Reay. I'm here with Rachel Linden and Marie Bostwick. And today we have Bryn Turnbull, who has written an extraordinary novel called The Berlin Apartment. And unfortunately, we have all either listened to it or read it on our phones or Kindles. And so that is the best we can do today on the phone. But the cover is amazing. So you kind of see the amazing cover.
You kind of see the amazing cover.
Yeah, it's an amazing cover.
It is. It's
but
amazing
the
book.
story inside is even better. So Bryn, please tell us about The Berlin Apartment.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks so much for having me on the show. It's so great to chat with all of you and see all of you. So the Berlin Apartment, it opens in August 1961 with a young couple who is just newly engaged, Lise and Uli. They are both Berliners. Lise is from East Berlin, Uli's from West Berlin. And the sort of a couple days after they get engaged, what happens? The wall goes up directly between them. And so this is a story, it's a romance that spans the entirety of the wall's existence as this couple that is meant to be together fights against, individual and social and political turmoil to find each other again.
Those are high stakes.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
They really are very high stakes and in a fascinating setting that we don't see all the time. So I am just really curious about this because this is, sometimes we as readers were like, I want something fresh. Well, this is something fresh for sure. So tell us, where did you get the inspiration for this novel?
Yeah, so I mean, when I was writing my last novel, The Paris Deception, I kind of went into I kind of went into a couple characters who were children in Germany during the Second World War. And I found when I was kind of figuring out what my next book was going to be, I was really struck, like those children stayed with me. So what happened to those kids after, after the Second World War? I feel like so much of historical fiction ends in 1945. And yet Berlin was sort of the geopolitical center of the world during the Cold War. And so for me, I really kind of got struck by what happened to those children as they grew up, and specifically what happened to them during the wall era, when the Berlin Wall went up, dividing the city in half, separating families and loved ones for decades. I started looking into the efforts that people went to, the lengths people went to reunite with their friends and families, including a group of students who dug tunnels beneath the Berlin Wall and a particular location called Brennauer Strasse. And I knew when I sort of caught on to the idea of the tunnel, I could see a young man digging and a young woman at the other end. And I knew that I had the bones of my story right there.
Great love story. Yeah.
I mean, we could talk forever and we won't. I think you and I can't believe we were both writing about Berlin at the same time and didn't know it. Berlin letters here, Berlin apartment there. I know, crazy stuff. And I'm sure you've seen that incredible documentary on Tunnel 29. I mean, extraordinary stuff. But what I want to ask you, because of course I did all that research too, and there was so much that was impactful. But on that first day, August 13, 1961, what struck you the most, surprised you the most? Because this isn't a period of history that people have dug into much in terms of fiction. And you're right, it's incredibly rich with impact the entire world. So anyway, there you go. Long question.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, I think, it was where the Cold War, Berlin was where the Cold War played out on its most intimate level. Like, we're talking about a wall or a divide. It wasn't a wall at the beginning, but a divide that occurred essentially overnight. People woke up on the morning of August 13th, and there was barbed wire just through the streets. So whichever side you were on, that was your side. And so I think one of the things that really struck me was how uneasy people were at the get-go, because they didn't know what it was. And they didn't know if this was a permanent state of affairs or whether it was temporary measure. You know, Walter Obrecht called it an anti-fascist protection barrier, meant to keep the evil capitalists out, when in reality what the wall was, it was a way of keeping the East German citizens in, because so many of them were fleeing to the west through Berlin itself. And so I think for me, that was the thing that really struck me, was what people didn't greet it with, you know, cries of injustice and cries of, you know, they didn't know its import. They didn't know how long it was going to be there. And so really in those early days, it was unease. I think that really permeated the city more so than outrage. And then outrage followed once people realized that this was not going anywhere.
But you're right. Even at first, there was no international outrage. I mean, it is crazy stuff. Yeah.
And
I mean, picture, you know, I live in Toronto, and, you know, Yonge Street is our longest street. And, you know, when I was writing the book, I just thought, what if, like, I live on one side of Yonge Street, my parents live on the other side of Yonge Street. What if, like, a wall just went up, right? What do you do? How does that impact your life? It just, it really captivated me.
Yeah.
And I think, you know, we look at all these things with the benefit of hindsight, because we can see the length, like what it did, what it symbolized. But yeah, you wake up and you're like, I don't know what this means. And when you're living in history, you don't understand the implications because we don't know them yet. It's in real time. I'm so curious, because obviously as writers, we're writing books we're writing stories, but we're wanting someone to take something away from it. So what do you think are the lessons or implications from the Berlin apartment for modern day readers?
Yeah, I mean, one of the things that I was really struck with when I was writing this book, I mean, this is not like old dusty history, right? Like the Berlin Wall came down in my lifetime, and it really struck me how much we don't necessarily appreciate that we're living through historic moments. Like in the time, it's not always evident what is going to be, you know, written down in the history books. What's the important stuff? We don't see the ripples when the stone is thrown into the water until long after. And so in writing this book, the thing that really kind of stood out to me, and the lesson that I would love people to take away from it, is we're still living in a world that builds walls. We're still living in a world where, you know, ideology and politics, and there's so many things can divide us. And I think that we have an opportunity, all of us, we have an obligation to shape our history for the better, wherever we can.
Love that.
Well said.
I've got one more question for you, Bryn, and it is the question we ask everybody. What is bringing you joy today?
What's bringing me joy today? You know what it is? It is currently, it's sort of the first day that feels like fall in Toronto. We're recording this in late September, and it's rainy and it's cozy, and it's sort of like, it feels like Shire weather, if that makes sense. Like,
you're about to have a hobbit fall.
Yeah, you want to have a hobbit fall. I want to curl up with a cup of tea and look outside at the rain and read a really good book. And yeah, I think that's what's bringing me joy. This is the first day that feels properly like fall.
Oh, that's fabulous. All right, so readers, if you want a hobbit fall and you want to curl up with a great book, the Berlin Apartment is out now, so go grab it. You are absolutely going to love it. An incredibly well-written story. So I want to thank you, Bryn Turnbull, for being with us today. I want to thank you all for being with us today. Thank you. And we'll see you next week on the 10-Minute Book Talk.
Thank you.